What is up, guys? Zan from Zan Madden YouTube channel. Today's video is an absolute gem for you. I have heard the call in the comment section. It's part of the reason I want to hear your feedback in all these videos. The most frequently asked question is, how do I stop RPOs? Now, that question in and of itself is so vague, as there are so many different types of RPOs in this game. You've got reads, you've got alerts, you've got auto motion, you've got trips, you've got under center, you've got RPO read flat wheel. There's a million types of RPOs, so you have to know specifically what to do against all of them individually, and I'm going to make it really simple for you. Now, before we get into today's video, I do want to talk about some ratings that are very, very important at base level. Basically, what I'm saying here is that if you don't know how to stop an RPO, these are the things you need to look for on specific items to help you guys out. The first rating on the defensive side of the ball is going to be play recognition. I swear to you, as play recognition goes up, I have felt like my RPO defense, especially in Ultimate Team, has gotten better without needing to try. Play rec is basically how quickly you can diagnose run versus pass versus screen and get into whatever run fit or coverage assignment that you need. So as it pertains to certain RPOs, if you have a slot corner that's kind of dumbing out a little bit, chances are you need to get a player with a higher play recognition into that position on the field. The next rating that I want to talk about is basically your block shed rating on RPO plays. And that rating, believe it or not, is not the block shed rating. It's actually the impact block. And the impact block, you'll notice on both sides of the ball, is elevated, especially in Ultimate Team. This is the rating that not only offensive players will use to block DBs and safeties and linebackers in the open field or on special teams on kick returns. It's also the rating that decides the collision outcome in the open field for the defender. So the higher the impact block rating is on a specific item, the better they will be at shedding those screen animations on those bubble screens or those flanker screens that get thrown out to the perimeter. This is going to allow you to basically shed those blocks and prevent the yards after the catch. But these are the two things I think a lot of players sleep on as it pertains stopping RPOs in general. Now, the video today, like I said, we're going to show you guys hard counters that don't even really take these ratings into effect. We're just going to show you straight up adjustments you can make to all these. So let's get into the top 10 best RPOs in the game. Number 10 on our list is going to be trips tight end or trips tight end offset RPO alert bubble. These RPOs are so valuable because the trips tight end alignment in general in Madden is one that basically provides a lot of stress to coverage. You have to deal with the fact that one of two players could be running a corner, so guessing which one to man up is a problem. But also, it's very hard to get into a lot of these slot defenses where a lot of players like to send those slot corners, whether that's dime or dollar. Even if you're not sending them, one of the things you'll notice right away is that players tend to back up, and that this could be a source of free yardage. Even with a bad animation to the outside, you're still looking at 6 to 10 yards. And obviously, if they're blitzing, this is going to create a lot more issues. A lot of players really struggle to stop this RPO because you have to worry about the inside zone give, which they can't get read and react AI to shed while dealing with the bubble screen. So the way that we are going to stop this is no matter what you want to run on defense, we are going to make sure that we have our auto alignment set to base align. And we are going to set a curl flat to 0 or 5 yards. This is going to give us the best opportunity for our slot corner to be able to avoid the blocking animations that you are accustomed to. So take, for instance, this defense right here. We have this base aligned slot corner. You can press him if you want. I would not recommend baseline and pressing a outside third, but you'll notice that the alignment of this player is such that they cannot actually hike throw this because the targeting of the slot corner is going to take them up to the safety. If you guys are enjoying today's video, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you guys hit that notification bell so you're notified of all the uploads here on the channel. And if you guys want more, head over to my strategy website, gridirongameplans.gg. Some of the adjustments found in this video come directly from the website, and I have everything in my defensive arsenal broken down in my Kansas City Chiefs defensive game plan. If that's not enough for you, you guys can learn how to play offense in a new, different, and unique way, which is the far free-forming Kansas City Chiefs offensive game plan, where I am shredding the coverage meta, even with those KOs downfield with the FAR freeform setting. You guys can find those tutorials on how to freeform on FAR in the game plan section. And don't forget the over 200 videos in our vault, keeping you on top of the pro meta and how to counter it. Very similar to this video. You guys can unlock everything plus Discord access, where we have live lab sessions every Wednesday for just $9.95 a month. I'll see you guys over in the Discord. Number 9, auto motion halfback swing screens or orbit bubbles. Now, these are very similar to bubble screens. I'm not going to really focus too much on how these work. We just broke down a bubble screen in number 10, but I'm going to show you guys the counter for this. Anytime you're facing an auto motion bubble screen, what you want to do is go and make sure your match coverage is on, and you are going to choose either cover 4 quarters or cover 6. And the reason you want to do this is that the quarter flat roll in these defenses does not get blocked by the slot player. Base aligning changes the targeting of slot wide receivers when blocking bubble style screens. Notice here how our player in the quarter flat is able to sneak in between the blockers and get a tackle for loss. Number 8, any RPO read flat wheel in the game. However, the pistol open flex close, which you guys can find in the Buffalo Bills and I believe the New York Giants playbook, is probably the toughest to stop. The issue with this defense is that a lot of times when you get a pressed outside third, which is very meta in our community, you're going to notice that that R icon oftentimes will basically run commit or get the wrong animation, and you could throw this auto motion wheel very quickly. A lot of times you'll also notice that the coverage sometimes bugs out, and you can throw post routes on this play as well. But the thing in general that ties these all together is that so many coverages, even backed off coverages, sometimes don't play this correctly, and you could just throw these little wheels out, or sometimes the safety, like I said, run commits, leaving the seam wide open. The counter for this is a cover 2 base defense that is base aligned and pressed. Are you guys noticing a trend here with all the setups to counter these RPOs? Now, the key for this is that the baseline and pressed outside corner no longer is impacted by the RPO. You see the P icon switches up to the safety who's in a deep zone. With this particular approach, if your opponent goes to just hike throw a wheel, you're going to see that that guy is in a spot where it's an easy interception. Now in regs, I don't have a pick artist. I could click on if I had a second pair of hands for this, but in general, you see here that a cloud flat base aligned and pressed is going to be the best way to defend this. The other thing about this is that our safety is in a spot. If they hike throw that seam or the post, really, you're going to be able to defend that as well. So this is going to be the best way to stop that quick throw to the flat, as well as the run committing safety. Number 7 and number 6 are going to come to us out of the spread playbook, and those are going to be the double stack monster combo. Now, there are a ton of players out there that will jump into the double stack. It's in the Philadelphia Eagles playbook, which is probably the most popular playbook in the game, and they'll run this up and down the field if they get a hint that you can't stop this. The monster is what sets this apart in the spread playbook, because players will be able to audible back and forth between monster and double stack, and those require 2 different mindsets to defend. So let's start off with double stack. The play is RPO read flanker screen. To defend this, when facing double stack, we do not want to be base aligned. You want to be in a default alignment. Set your curl flats to 5. Call cover 4 quarters. The key with this is that we have, with the default alignment, 2-on-2 to both sidelines. With this, I would recommend walking your safeties down, pinching your defensive line, and you are going to user this particular linebacker right here, flying through the left A gap, the one opposite of the running back. For option defense, make sure you play the quarterback to prevent the scramble. But basically with this, what this will do is if they hand it off, you're going to be in a spot where you can obviously take that gap shoot. If they keep it, you've got the keeper defense set up, or the defensive end. And if they decide to throw it, notice that we are not in a spot where they are going to be able to throw this, because they will not attack that purple zone that is set to 5 yards. If you do ever note that they are throwing it, just roll up and press coverage, which will actually make our job so much easier, because now the player that is out there, Goddard, has to block the player in front of him, which leaves us 2-on-1. So this is going to help you out significantly, but you cannot be base aligned. Now, this is where Monster comes in. The RPO zoner alert from Monster is going to kick the tackles out wide to give us better numbers on the perimeter for blocking purposes. If you decide to play on default alignment against this, you will note that your defensive ends line up all the way out wide. Now, this is going to give us not great numbers in the box. And if you go to pinch, you notice that your defensive ends are going to bear crawl inside, but not enough. So what you have to do when you face this is the exact same setup as the double stack, but you want it on base align. So again, you'll want that 5-yard curl flat, cover 4 quarters. And then when they come out in the monster, all you have to do is pinch your defensive line and then unbase align, and you'll see that your defensive line stays in the right spot. You can roll down and press. They're not going to run the ball on this, obviously, because we're 5-on-3. And if they decide that they want to throw these balls out wide, you're going to be in a better spot with 3-on-2 to make this happen. Now, again, this RPO can be very tough. So one of the things that I would actually recommend if you guys are doing this is to get your defensive ends involved. You could go ahead on this and put them into basically a purple zone. This is going to drop them off the defensive line, even though you have 2 on the play. This is just going to get him firing out into that flat. So that way, when they go to throw it to that B receiver, he's in a spot where he's unblocked, and that's going to add to your effectiveness of this, giving you 4-on-2. Number 5 on our list, gun trio, offset weak, RPO read bubble. This is basically a trip style RPO bubble with the option for the quarterback to keep it. And truthfully, this could check in the top 3, maybe even the top 2 RPOs in the game. The key with this is, once again, to be on your P's and Q's as it pertains to your option defense. When I see this particular offensive play, what I like to do is I like to make sure that, again, I am base aligned. You can roll up and press, but here's the issue. When we take a look at this from the offensive point of view, if that P icon is on that slot corner, you will notice that he's going to be in a spot where he can make this happen. However, there are certain defenses in the game, such as Dollar, where that R icon ends up on that player. And if that's the case with this particular play, you are in a world of trouble. Now, the good thing is that Big Nickel over G doesn't really have to worry about that. So again, the baseline pressed 5 or 0 yard purple is going to get the job done just fine. This is where I would recommend that you guys start to work a technique where we are actually going to play the running back, not the quarterback. And we are going to blitz our user and stand right here, right on the hip of this defensive end. And the reason we want to do that is that you notice how it kind of removes that R icon. What this is going to do is it's going to make it so if they decide to pull with the quarterback, I can click off of my blitzed user and be able to make that play happen. Okay, so this is really key. Again, with this, you might go ahead and crash down, blitz your user, and then key the running back. You could stand, behind him. You can stand right here. But basically, when they go to do this, you're just going to run out here and click off, and that's going to allow you to be able to hit the quarterback as he is basically tasked with throwing the ball into a purple zone that can play the screen or take the hit, exposing himself to a potential fumble risk. The other thing that this does is if they just blindly hand the ball to the running back, you're gonna have a player crashing down on the running back that can make a dive tackle. But you see here, right here, there's no way possible to get any of the 3 options to pop with this particular setting. Checking in at number 4 is an RPO that a lot of players consider to be the best in Madden 24, and that is the gun bunch strong nasty, or the gun bunch strong offset RPO read bubble. The reason a lot of players like this is that it's specifically good against the dollar meta, but to be honest with you, it's something that you could stop out of nearly any defense in the game. Unlike the bubble screens out of trips where the inside receiver bubbles and the outside receivers block, this is a RPO where it's kind of inverted. So this is going to take a little bit of a different approach here. What we're going to do is we're going to set purples to 0 or 5, and we're going to set our flats to 30, which is pretty meta out there anyways. This is the traditional Mabel profile that you guys will see. Now, for me personally, I'm going to call over G. You guys could do this out of dollar again if you want to. What we're going to do is when we see this formation, we are going to base align and press. So that way we've got this outside slot corner lined up on the bubble man. And he's in that 0 or 5 yard setting. Basically, his job is to be a landmark to prevent our opponents from blocking the outside corner. Then from there, we're going to put our corner into a pressed 30 yard blue. We've actually done a video on this. You guys can go watch this in greater detail. And then from there, just keep your Mabel deep half or third over the top. Now, the really cool thing about this is if they go to throw this blindly, what ends up happening is they will not block the outside corner. And you will see that basically with this, Him being in a zone drop, his first step is in the bucket. He's going backwards. This makes Cole Kmet on this play look at the slot corner, who he doesn't even block anyways on this play. He goes up to the safety, and now we're 2-on-1 in the flat. So anytime you're dealing with this style of RPO, this is really the way that you guys get after it, is you just basically baseline press, have your slot in a purple that's set to 0 or 5, and then you have a pressed outside corner in a zone drop blue. This is also going to be really good against the double corner meta out of this set as well. So it's a kill two birds, one stone situation. Now, again, I know that I mentioned it briefly earlier. We're getting into our top 2 RPOs of the game. If you guys have not checked out Gridiron, I would strongly urge you guys to go check this out. This is basically me dropping RPO defenses that I've been putting out over the course of the entire year here for free on the YouTube channel. And trust me, if I feel comfortable putting this out for free here on this channel, just think how much more is on the website for you guys to digest. Again, just go check it out. $9.95. It's a cup of coffee these days. I promise you it'll be worth it. We got the best tips server on Discord. You guys have a great community to lean on, ask questions. And again, those lab sessions, a lot of other sites charge for lab sessions. We have them every week at no additional cost. Number 2, Stretch Alert Bubble. This one right here is another one that a lot of people think is the best RPO in the game. I think it's okay. I don't think it's, that great. With this particular defense, we are going to run our auto flip on. We do not want a baseline with this. I'll explain why here momentarily. With our curl flats, we could set these to 0 or 5, but when we go with cover 4 quarters, what we're going to do is we are just going to press back off of the slot receiver. So that way our guy that typically kind of like freezes and allows the ball to be open is backed up into an area where they are not affected by the play fake radius. And then we are just going to take our user right here and we are going to scrape and run down around the right tackle. So basically when they go to run this ball, we fly down and we click off and make this tackle for a loss. I can't tell you how many times I have gotten this tackle for a loss this year. This play almost never beats me unless it's a situation where my opponent, gets lucky, jukes on a bubble screen. But again, with this, what you're going to want to do if they go to throw this bubble, if they go to throw it out right away, you see how that guy's there right away to hit him. Now we broke the tackle. Again, that's kind of the fluke I'm talking about. If you guys are ever in a situation where you just are tired of this, being something that you have to deal with, what I like to do is I actually like to go ahead and man up the Y slot on the X blocker. Now this part I'm base aligned. I want to show you what happens when I base aligned. If you guys are base aligned and you do this, you notice how the man coverage goes out over the guy that is basically manned up on. You do not want that. So you want the baseline off, because what this does is it kind of creates a weird animation where he's going to fly straight to the flat, which should deter 99% of players from throwing it. And if they do, you see that, he's technically not guarding it, but it is enough for most players to be like, okay, I'm not doing that. So this is just a little extra wrinkle that you guys, should kind of mix in as you see fit. A lot of players, when they snap this, they see this and they're like, oh yeah, I can't throw this bubble screen. But again, if you guys want to at all costs, just go ahead and run your quarters. You can, if you want to, move this guy outside. The one downside is if they flip their play, that could be a little bit problematic. Just him being to the outside is nice because, again, it prevents, them from hike throwing that. He's not affected by the play action. Just get him out of that box area where the run fake is going to take him out of the play. And that brings us to our number 2 and number 1 RPOs in Madden 24. And the reason I lump these together is because they basically are married to one another. They also come to you out of the spread playbook. Those plays are the gun slot offset, RPO peak zone bubble, and RPO read bubble. These plays are absolutely hell on players to defend, and I've got one defense that's going to shut both down. So as we talked about with the auto motion bubble screens, you're going to want your match on. You can call cover 4 quarters or cover 6. We're going to call cover 6. So as I promised earlier with the bubble screen auto motions, quarter flats do not get blocked on these types of plays, which allows him to fly out to the flat and be there unblocked to stop this either in the backfield or for at most 1 yard. But the problem with this is that if your opponent goes to the RPO bubble the other direction and you are in cover 4, you will note that we do not have somebody out there to take away that throw right away. And this could be a free 7 to 10 yards. So this is why I prefer the cover 6 defense, because what we can do in a cover 6 defense is play a hard flat. So if they run that bubble screen to the other side, you will notice that that guy is not blocked and you don't really have anywhere to go. Now, right there, he came off the block animation weird and into the backfield. But again, you see that this is something that is going to be pretty consistent. And truthfully, most players are going to run that bubble screen to the wide side of the field. That's the tendency of most players, but this adjustment in general works. So again, here, if we want to run this bubble screen to the left, again, key in on how that hard flat just is not blocked at all on this. So that is how you stop it. Cover 6 with a hard flat to be able to counter the gun slot offset pair of RPOs, which I have as number 2 and number 1. But that's it for today's video, guys. I'm going to get out of here pretty quick. Subscribe to the channel, hit up Gridiron Game Plans. I promise you guys are going to love it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.